Indeed, well, we put aside £100,000 to improve Queen Square generally, make it better for events, make it better for the people who come and use it all year round. So for the past few years we've had requests from many organisations, from the guys who do the Bath Balls competition to Digital Bath, who ran an event here just last year for kids and so on to come. And they said, well, why can't we close the bottom two corners to pedestrianise that, to allow people to come to the square safely and make it more attractive when those events are on? So we're saying, well, we want that to happen, but what we need to do is make a few adjustments to the road outside of the square to allow those temporary closures to happen.
If it works very well, will there not be then voices raised saying, well, it's working without being a square, why can't we keep it permanent and maybe speed up traffic flow?
Well, certainly if it works very well, I think, we as a council should consider whether or not it should be made permanent. And, there's no reason why not. If you've got two flow traffic going around the two ends safely and smoothly, I think that should be a consideration to really make, this bottom corner of the square somewhere to visit. Maybe for the Francis Hotel behind us, put tables and chairs out, for instance, or just make something nicer to join the square back in with the city, to make it a pleasure to visit.
Built into the costs here, I think, is provision for cyclists and some provision for actually sprucing up this park area as well.
Yeah, the key thing here is, the park is looking a little bit tired over the years. We've got grass that never really made a comeback after the Occupy movement left. We've got some places where, the definition between the pathway and the grass has pretty much disappeared, and that needs to be sharpened up and tidied up. We've also got the recent issues about what we do with the trees here. We've had some unfortunate incidents of vandalism to the trees with dog walkers not really using them in the right way, and I know the Parks Department are very keen to look at what measures we can bring in there, so we'll have that discussion as well. Also, there's the last one, which is about whether or not we create two more entrance points into the square. So we have one entrance point behind me coming opposite the Francis Hotel, and there's been a long-standing idea about whether or not we recreate two entrance points to the sides as well, to make sure we've got that flow of pedestrian movement back onto the square.
David, can I just press you on this dog issue and the damage that's being done to the trees? The Parks Department have put temporary netting, but I think we all realise that the only permanent way of safeguarding the trees here in one of Bath's most iconic urban spaces is permanent railings. Might there be enough in the budget to actually pay for that?
Yeah, well, we've got £100 in the budget, which now we're looking actually how we do the temporary closures alongside a cycle scheme which is already funded. Actually, I think we can make that funding go a lot further. And we'll be chatting to the Parks team to say, well, what kind of permanent railing would you like here? Let's look at the cost of that, and if we can do that, if we can make something better here, this is what all this funding is about, to make Queen Square better, to save the trees that are here, and to make sure people can enjoy it for a very long time.
Yes, the one thing maybe people don't realise is that although we all use this green and pleasant area, it actually belongs to the people who live around the square. Might it not be nice if they played a bigger role in its future?
Well, yeah, it's a very funny arrangement, Queen Square. It's the same kind of arrangement we have with Parade Gardens, where it doesn't necessarily belong to the council as such, but it does belong also to the property owners around. And I know, in the past they've shown some willingness, the landowners, about how they might contribute towards bigger schemes. And I think quite rightly so, maybe it is a time to go around and just say, look, we're doing this to help improve, not just maintain the garden, and would you like to help us out a little bit further?
The police are certainly hoping people will keep an eye out for anyone doing damage here. You have dog wardens as well, don't you? Are they people who could maybe be patrolling this area a bit more frequently?
Yeah, we have dog wardens who patrol not just this area, but they can patrol the whole district. And again, they respond actually where we have more complaints. They go and target those hotspots. And I know very recently they've been involved down here with the vandalism to the trees. They work very closely with the PCSOs, the police and others, and also trying to get information locally from people who see things happen in the park. So by gathering all that evidence and working in partnership with the police and our PCSOs and local residents, hopefully we get a bit more awareness about what's going on.
It's our city, David. We all have a responsibility and a role to play.
We do indeed, and recognising that I was born here, I grew up here, and there's nothing more that I want to see than having that real pride of place brought back into our area. And hopefully this little bit of funding into Queen Square here helps restore some pride in our area, and helps to make sure that if a place is looking run down, people tend not to look after it and they tend to take it a little bit for granted. If a place is looking good and the city itself is taking the pride, then other people around want to take pride in that area and will report things that don't quite look right to them.